Welcome, fellow delinquents and connoisseurs of chaos, to a journey into the dark heart of 1980s America, a place where the shadows are deeper, the stakes are higher, and the education is quite literally deadly.
Oh, brother!
Today we're discussing Rick Remender's and Wes Craig's masterpiece of a graphic novel, Deadly Class. This isn't just a comic book, it's a visceral, often brutal, and profoundly human exploration of adolescence, found family, and the ever-present threat of a bloody end. My name is Detective Hemmings, codenamed Paperwork. I am the literary detective. Welcome to Case 28. Deadly Class. A bloody education in anarchy and angst. The comic book scene is something I find people who weren't initiated at a young age have a hard time getting into. While I don't personally think it is that hard, and there's an easy method I generally use for newcomers, I think this issue is only when speaking on the big two, Marvel and Detective Comics. Trying to get into Green Lantern is tricky because of the history, the lore behind the character, various changes that happened over the year, and you can get thrown into side stories or massive events even though you are buying issues in order. Suddenly in issue 6, Hal Jordan might be teaming up with Oliver Queen in some crossover. But there are many self-contained comics with just one creative team, similar to a manga. One story, issue by issue, that tells a single narrative, and that is where Image Comics comes in. Mind you, a lot of Marvel and DC writers and artists do have their own series in Image Comics, like Rick Remender, who we will be talking about today. However, if you want to just read dope stories and maybe don't care about capes, cowls, and tights, I got you covered. But there are still dope-ass independent superhero comics that exist, not just from Image. Invincible from Image, Empowered, Black Hammer, just to name a few. I want to say The Boys as well, but I genuinely think that shit is ass. But enough preamble. Deadly Class is a comic book series published by Image Comics. It is written by Rick Remender with art by Wes Craig and Lee Loughridge. It is a completed series that has 12 volumes and 56 issues if I remember correctly. It even has one season of a live action TV show, which I didn't think was bad, but I don't think it was popular or performed well and thus never got renewed for a season 2. Deadly Class is about Marcus Lopez Arguello, an unfortunate youth living on the streets who gets invited to King's Dominion School of the Deadly Arts, a secret high school for children of the world's most notorious assassins, mob bosses, and murderers. Marcus must deal with the burden of his past, the trials and tribulations of this high school, and surviving dangerous missions. Deadly Class has great drama, very interesting artwork, character diversity, and compelling bloody action. From its very first issue in 2014, Deadly Class grabbed us by the throat as it plunged us into the grim reality of our main character Marcus, a homeless orphan adrift in San Francisco, haunted by the specter of his parents' death, and branded a mass murderer by the media. Think Hogwarts, but instead of charms and potions, the curriculum involves poisons, martial arts, and the art of killing. If you're more of a manga or a gamer, the closest things I can think of off the top of my head is perhaps Assassination Classroom, though it's very different in tone and presentation, and then Danganronpa, the visual novel series. Even though it's not about training assassins, I would argue that because Hope's Peaks Academy is such a dangerous school where death lurks around every corner, it has a similar tone. The premise alone is electrifying, but what makes Deadly Class truly special is its relentless commitment to character, its unflinching gaze at violence, and its surprisingly tender exploration of the human condition amidst unimaginable brutality. At the helm of King's Dominion is Master Lin, a formidable figure whose calm demeanor masks a terrifying ruthlessness. He is not just a headmaster, he's a sensei, a philosopher, and a puppet master, orchestrating a ballad of death and deception amongst his students. His ideals are twisted, his methods extreme, but there's a strange, undeniable charisma to his unwavering belief in the art of killing. The teenagers of King's Dominion have students from many prestigious crime families from all over the world, as stated earlier. There is a diverse cast of characters, which is nice to see. Marcus Lopez, who is from Nicaragua, Saya, who was Japanese, Willie, who was black, and Maria, who was Mexican. Each character have different backgrounds, which presents its own set of issues relating to that person's place of origin. The students are a rogue gallery of misfits, psychopaths, and surprisingly, a few moral compasses. At the center of it all is Marcus, our reluctant protagonist. He's an outsider, lacking the pedigree and natural killer instincts of his classmates, but possesses a fierce intelligence and a deeply rooted sense of morality that constantly clashes with the school's ethos. His primary anchor and often his greatest source of pain is Saya Kuroki, the enigmatic leader of the Kuroki Syndicate. Saya is a master of the katana, stoic, deadly, and burdened by a hidden past. Her relationship with Marcus is a turbulent dance of attraction, loyalty, and betrayal, a true cornerstone of the series. Then there's Maria Esperanza, my personal favorite, a captivating and volatile member of Sotovatos cartel, prone to manic episodes and incredible acts of violence, but also capable of profound vulnerability. Her journey is perhaps one of the most heartbreaking and complex, a struggle against her own mental demons and the expectations of her brutal family. Willie Lewis, the supposed gang leader whose tough exterior hides a surprising secret and a desire for a different life. Victor, the hulking and sadistic Russian. Billy, the surprisingly sweet, metal-loving poison specialist who dreams of a normal life. And Petra, the goth outcast whose dark humor and surprising resilience makes her a fan favorite. Each character is meticulously crafted, given layers of motivation, and forced to confront the horrifying consequences of their choices. While there are important characters, I'm not going to spoil and literally name each of them. The narrative of Deadly Class is a roller coaster of adrenaline, heartbreak, and unexpected twists. It begins with Marcus's desperate attempt to survive his freshman year, navigating the treacherous social hierarchies, the brutal curriculum, and the constant threat of being rat-hunted by upperclassmen, a literal fight to the death. But the scope quickly expands beyond the school's walls. We see the students on a disastrous field trip to Las Vegas, a psychedelic nightmare that culminates in shocking violence. We witness the devastating freshman initiation, a trial by fire that pushes them to their absolute limits. The series expertly weaves together multiple plot lines, rivalries between student factions, the looming threat of their powerful families, the school's own hidden agendas, and the various romantic related conflicts. As the series progresses, the story deepens, exploring the aftermath of their actions. Friendships are forged and shattered, loyalties are tested, and betrayals are commonplace. Remender is unflinching in his depiction of the psychological toll of their chosen path. The characters are not static, they evolve, often tragically under the weight of their choices and the relentless pressure of their environment. The line between hero and villain blurs, and often there are no heroes, only survivors. Beyond the main narrative, Deadly Class is rich with compelling subplots that flesh out the world and its inhabitants. Marcus's internal monologues, often delivered through his journal entries, provide a raw and unfiltered look into his anxieties, his lingering trauma, and his desperate search for meaning in a meaningless world. His struggle to maintain his humanity while being forced to commit inhumane acts is a constant thread. The complex love triangle, or perhaps quadrangle, between Marcus, Saya, Maria, and sometimes even other characters is not mere teenage drama. It's a desperate yearning for connection and love in a world devoid of it, often complicated by their destructive instincts and their families' rivalries. Maria's struggle with her mental health, particularly her bipolar disorder, is depicted with a raw honesty that is both heartbreaking and empowering. We see the devastating impact of her condition on her relationships and her ability to function in high-stakes environments. The series also delves into the politics of the various criminal organizations represented by the students. The rivalry between the Kuroki Syndicate and the Sotovatos, the insidious influence of the Dixie Mafia, and the brutal hierarchy of the Russian mob, or KGB, all play significant roles, creating a vast and dangerous ecosystem where their personal struggles intersect with global criminal enterprises. These subplots elevate Deadly Class beyond a simple school for assassins premise, making it a sprawling crime saga with deeply personal stakes. The artwork for Deadly Class is definitely a distinctive art style. It works very well for the tone of the comic. The pages are well detailed, even the backgrounds. Low Ridge did a fantastic job with the various cover pages. They are absolutely gorgeous. Wes Craig's character designs are powerful enough that the reader can get a general, ethnic, and racial identity of the character from a single glance. Black, white, Hispanic, Asian, etc. I feel like sometimes the artwork needs to fit the series, like how I feel about Oda's art working perfectly for One Piece. When I see Boichi draw for One Piece, it feels wrong. Oda's goofy, over-the-top art style fits with One Piece because the zaniness of the artistry to me is a veil for what can be a really dark, heart-wrenching, emotional manga. Craig is a master of visual storytelling, his style perfectly complementing Remender's gritty narrative. His lines are kinetic, his character designs expressive, and his action sequences explode off the page with a raw, almost frenetic energy. He uses unique panel layouts, often overlapping and breaking traditional grids, to enhance the sense of chaos and urgency. His use of color, often by Jordan Boyd, is equally impactful. The palette can shift from muted, somber tones reflecting Marcus's despair to vibrant, almost psychedelic bursts during moments of violence or drug-induced delirium. The gore is never gratuitous, it's impactful, serving to underscore the brutality of their world and the real consequences of their actions. Craig doesn't just draw the story, he feels it, and he makes you feel it too. Whether it's a quiet, introspective moment of character development or a full-blown blood-soaked massacre, Craig's art is consistently breathtaking. His ability to convey complex emotions through facial expressions and body language is pretty darn good, drawing you deeper into the characters' inner lives, even as they commit horrific acts. Rick Remender's writing is the beating heart of Deadly Class. He crafts sharp, biting dialogue that perfectly captures the angsty, often cynical voices of his teenage assassins. But it's his internal monologues, particularly for Marcus, that truly shine. They are raw, philosophical, and deeply personal, allowing us to access the profound anxieties and moral quandaries that plague our protagonist. Remender isn't afraid to go to dark places, exploring themes of abuse, trauma, addiction, and mental illness with a brutal honesty that is rare in comics. He avoids easy answers, presenting characters who are deeply flawed, often unlikable, but always understandable. Shout out to Brandy. I know what I said, I'm saying it again. Shout out to Brandy. He challenges the readers to empathize with people who commit terrible acts, forcing us to confront the complex motivations behind violence. He's also really good at pacing, weaving together moments of intense action with quiet introspection, building tension relentlessly. The plot twists are earned, the character arcs are impactful, and the emotional punches land with devastating force. Remender doesn't shy away from killing off beloved characters, reminding us that no one is truly safe in this deadly world, further raising the stakes and making every conflict feel genuinely terrifying. Beyond the blood and mayhem, Deadly Class is a remarkably thematic series. At its core, it's a scathing critique of the American dream of the 1980s during the Reagan era, highlighting the hypocrisy, the forgotten, and the marginalized. Marcus and his classmates are products of a broken system, cast aside by society, and forced to create their own brutal morality. The comic challenges notions of authority, societal norms, and the very idea of what constitutes as good and evil. A central theme is the idea of found family. Despite their murderous tendencies and constant betrayals, these students often form deep bonds of loyalty and love with each other. In a world where their biological families are often the source of their trauma, the chosen connections become a desperate lifeline, a fragile shield against the encroaching darkness. Empathy, or the lack thereof, is another crucial theme. Marcus constantly grapples with his own capacity for violence and his desire to retain his humanity. The series forces us to consider where the line is drawn and whether it's truly possible to escape the cycles of violence one is born into. Deadly Class is a meditation on trauma and the ways in which it shapes us, for better or for worse. It's about the desire for retribution, the futility of revenge, and the arduous path towards healing, if such a thing is even possible in their world. Deadly Class is not an easy read. It's violent, it's heartbreaking, and it's deeply cynical at times. But it's also profoundly moving, surprisingly funny, and ultimately a powerful statement about the resilience of the human spirit in the face of unimaginable darkness. It's a masterclass in comic book storytelling, pushing boundaries both visually and narratively. If you haven't embarked on this bloody education, I implore you to do so. Just be warned. Once you enroll in King's Dominion, there's no going back. Deadly Class is a great comic book series that fulfilled its potential. The cast diversity, unique artistry, brilliant drama, and dope actions are just some of the reasons why you should be reading Deadly Class. Image Comics continues to publish comic book gems, and Deadly Class is absolutely one of them. Case closed. Thanks for watching. Like the video, y'all.